Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Attacking Blues. My name is Jimmy Funnell, and as always, I'm joined by my fellow co-host, Laurenz Vescoli. We have had quite a while since we recorded an episode. It's been a week break, and we are recording tonight, a few hours after Chelsea's draw against Sheffield United, newly promoted side. Big disappointment in retrospect, but we're going to talk about this. We're going to try and keep things short today, to the point, and let's get straight into this. Laurenz,
disappointing.
Disappointing.
It's just really disappointing because it started off well. We were all very happy after the Norwich game. We weren't like overly jubilant saying, "Oh, we're the greatest team in the world right now." Nothing like that. No. It was a closer step in the right direction. We had a striker scoring goals. He did that again today. Of course, we mentioned that. And it was good vibes. And then we go to the Sheffield game. I do my preview yesterday. And I'm like, they do some crazy things. We need to watch out here. And we need to be good at passing. And that's exactly what we didn't do today. Like, we really uncharacteristically for us in the last 15 months or so, or at least since Sarri took over, we struggled to keep the ball properly, and that is not usually a problem that we face, but that was a problem today, and hence why I don't think we just didn't create enough chances. And when you lose the ball way too early on the pitch, you help the opponent out, like you build their confidence as the game goes on. And even if they're newly promoted side, like they looked a bit nervous and shaky at the start. Obviously, both of those goals we scored were arguably mistakes, especially the second one. Like, what are their defenders doing? It's just disappointing. And there was a lot of interesting things today. Like when I saw the lineup, Tomori starting, which didn't see that coming. Lampard after the game said, he just trained really well. He believes in him. He did well at Derby last season, and he deserves to play. I mean, fair enough.
He did well today. I thought he was, a very, very, source of security, a big source of security. He really didn't do anything wrong. Can't really fault him for both goals.
No,
that's on other defenders, and I think he did well.
The only thing I will say, maybe he could have done be positioned slightly different for the second goal, just because Zuma was behind that guy, so it's difficult for him to do much. Yes, he deflected it into his own goal in the end, but you can't really fault him for that much. Like, he had to try.
No.
And the guy was kind of in between, and then it's always the first defender, the front post defender, that's kind of should be on the guy behind him. But I'd have to see that back to fully commit on that, because we both know who's to blame for, especially the second goal, but also the first goal, to me. But yeah, I mean, generally, just because I just mentioned the lineup, what did you make of it? I personally, I know we don't like Willian that much, but because of how Sheffield play, I wanted maximum pace up front, so I didn't want Mount on the wing again, and I just don't want Barkley playing. So I would have preferred Willian on the wing if he's fit enough. I don't know, but he came on for 35, 40 minutes today, so he would have been fine to play 60 as well. And I just would have preferred that over Barkley personally, because Barkley again was absolutely shocking, except in the build-up for the first goal. Fair enough.
No, the thing is, I find it hard to agree with him being shocking. I agree he didn't have a good game, as he always has. It's just he's got two sides to him. It's like a Jekyll and Hyde with Barkley. One moment he's doing something great. There were a few flicks where he thought, bloody hell, how did he get that to his teammate? And then you've got, him losing the ball carelessly, and it's ridiculous. It's just...
Doesn't that kind of show his
consistency
problem, though? That as well. But a simple flick, he doesn't think about that. It works. He starts thinking, nothing works. He plays these outside of the foot balls out wide, passes them off the pitch. Did it today in the first minute, did it last week at Norwich. I'm like, what are you doing? Just like, why are you trying outside of the foot passes if you're clearly not capable of doing them? Like, clearly. And then he lost the ball another 2 minutes later, and someone said he was so good in pre-season, and then I was like, maybe because he just wasn't worried about making mistakes in pre-season. Now he is, and that's why as soon as it's a competitive game, it's just poor, because he's been poor whenever he's played this season. Like, he wasn't awful at Norwich, but he was, in my opinion, our worst player from the 11 that played, or from
he was very poor, definitely. The thing is, what one really has to say is, I don't think that Willian would have done much good. I know that in theory and on paper, what you're saying makes sense, and I agree with that generally. But Willian just doesn't bring that to the table at the moment, in my opinion. He didn't do much when he came on. He misplaced a few passes.
He was
ran
unfortunate when
to a cul-de-sac twice.
Yeah, he was unfortunate when Tammy's pass to him when he would have been through on goal got intercepted, because I back him to score that usually. And then we would be talking in a lot of different terms about Willian if at the time he makes it 3-1, and that's not his fault. He made a great run there. I just think Willian has never been good off the bench, whether that was first when we first signed him or now. Like, he's just never does anything off the bench. Unlike Pedro, who usually gives us a bit of an impact, Willian never is that to me. So I think he plays better when he starts a game. Never let him take corners, of course, but everything else, generally does all right. And I just wanted that pace. I just wanted to see it out. And also, we gave everyone else a new chance, and he hasn't even gotten a start yet. And I think it's a bit unfair to judge him on a few 20, 15-minute performances or 30 minutes today. I think that's a bit harsh when always our team seems to be a lot, well, I say a lot, but worse in the second half than we were in the first half. Norwich, not so much, but the other games were generally worse in the second half, and that's when he always came on. So I think to be fully judged on the Lampard, the system, him, I don't know, refreshed, rebaptized or whatever, I think we need to give everyone a fair chance, and that includes him. So he also needs a couple of starts to be fully judged and to be fully like, okay, he should start, he shouldn't start, that kind of thing.
But we know what we get with Willian nowadays. This isn't some youngster while we're talking about Tammy Abraham or Mason Mount or Reece James, whatever, where we say he needs a few games. Kurt Zuma, even one can say, he's not that old. He's 24, if I'm not mistaken, and he's just come into this team. But Willian's been at Chelsea for 6 years. Everyone knows what he brings to the table, but it's just this lack of really wanting it, his attitude. People might say I've got an agenda against him, but I just don't like Willian, and his work ethic on the field is just, I don't like it.
I don't think that was bad today, though. I have to say, he did. To me, he worked hard today. Ran a lot, ran back.
Don't agree with that, but
better than others. Like, our problem right now, anyway, if we're going to be fully honest, is we don't have any wingers, because Pulisic, and that isn't necessarily his fault, because neither Mount nor Pulisic were involved in the game today. Hence why the midfielders struggled to keep the ball. They just weren't involved enough. Only when they both cut in to be a bit more central, when they were out wide, they saw nothing off the ball. But Pulisic has struggled so far. Yes, he had that assist, of course, Norwich, but he has struggled to really have an impact. And it's always a problem because Frank Lampard likes to use the wings, and then if you play a centre mid at wing and on the one wing, and then a winger that's 20 and just new to the league and kind of struggling, that obviously brings problems with it.
Definitely.
But at least we have a striker that's scoring goals at the moment.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, he's scoring them against 2 championship teams or the newly promoted teams. People are saying, it doesn't really count. It's bullshit. We've been struggling to score goals for such a long time, and credit where credit's due. He's taking his chances. He was pouncing on mistakes, which we weren't able to do. Higuain wasn't able to do that. And he's a much more seasoned striker with experience, blah, blah. So, in all honesty, I don't see what he could have done better.
Sure, he had a good game, not just the 2 goals. I thought he generally had a good game today. Good hold-up play, good link-up play. I liked his game a lot today. Arguably, he was better than at Norwich, even though both of his goals were better at Norwich. But performance-wise, I would have said.
I guess one could say that. He was just more sharp. He was definitely more sharp.
Also, the confidence, I assume, would make a difference.
Of course, 4 goals in 2 games. His confidence will be soaring. That's one of the only positives that I take from this game tonight. I mean, Bash Wise getting some minutes was good. He didn't really do much, but he didn't really have much to work with,
because we were awful in that time when he was on the pitch. Like, we couldn't. You got the ball like once, and that was like a high ball. What can he do? I generally don't like substitutions in the 84th minute when you like a striker. Don't bring on a striker in 84th. Then bring on Giroud, because then Giroud is actually useful, being tall and strong. Don't bring on Batshuayi with 8 minutes to go when you're trying to hold on to a lead. Like, I don't understand that. And Billy Gilmour, I want to mention on that, because otherwise I'll forget. Nothing against Billy Gilmour, but I just can't understand how against Sheffield United, who are a physically extremely strong team, you take off Billy Gilmour when you're trying to see out a game. I can't comprehend that. Not that he was necessarily bad, but of a physical presence, I just don't get it. Take Pulisic off then. Like, change the formation. Go because it's not like he did anything on that wing anyway. So I don't. Maybe Kovacic was tired, but then all right. If he held on for 84 minutes, he can hold on for.
He got a knock, I think, just shortly before, if I'm not mistaken. But with
Oh,
regard to
okay.
Billy
That's the
Gilmore,
case, fair.
if in regard to Billy Gilmore, I thought there were a few situations where he did well. He held off the ball, he screened it well, and he didn't really let that physicality of them affect him. So I don't know. I don't think that was really a problem. Him coming on.
No. I'm not trying to say it's a problem. I just don't understand the move, because if you're trying to see out a game, try to bring more physical. Not necessarily that it was a significant problem for him, but maybe a more physical player gets into positions that he didn't get to, and generally he's not the most defensive thinking player. When I'm not even saying that would stop the goal, but I'm saying it's a more logical substitution to make for me personally, rather than blaming him for anything. I thought he did all right. I was infuriated in the injury time when we were trying to do something with 1 minute to go, and he had the ball down by the right-hand side, and no one made himself available to him to pass.
No, that
was
was
back
really
to the bloody keeper.
aggravating.
Fuming.
I agree with that. Yeah, just shows how much drive these youngsters have. While others were already, I don't want to say given up, but more or less, conceded the 3 points, which is, I don't know, it's difficult. We've got to live with this result now for 2 weeks, which is pretty disappointing.
Yeah, very so. And then it's Wolves away and Liverpool at home. Yeah. So it's not exactly so. I thought we really needed that game to if we want to have any hope for top four, I thought we would have needed that game today. And I know it's only 1 of 38, but I don't think we can expect ourselves to go to Wolves and beat them, and to beat Liverpool. We can do both, but I don't think we can expect it. And we should expect beating Sheffield at home.
Yeah, no, definitely. The thing is, after those 2 games are done, we have a nice run of games, like 6 or 7 games, where these are against bottom half teams mostly. I'm not saying that's going to be easy. We saw it today. That doesn't give us any.
And Champions League is back then as well, so that's then another thing.
But my point is, in theory, we should be winning those, as we're today. But it's still start of the season. We just have to give them time. There's no point really saying, to for example, Abraham, that he didn't make that one, didn't score that one goal, although it was a great save by Henderson.
I think he took it well,
and he took it well, pretty much. But you know what I mean. So it's basically time. Mount wasn't as good as he was the last 2 games, just the way it is. My point is, this is just one of those where we just have to take it on the chin and continue. What really has to change is, let's just get into this because we mentioned it before the podcast. Cesar Azpilicueta, he was at fault for the second. If you ask me, you're not allowed to let that cross in. Never, ever. That was schoolboy defending, schoolboy mistake, and that was ridiculous. Yeah. And the first one, you mentioned that he got nutmegged. Yeah. I can't remember that happening.
It was a throw-in. They had a throw-in, kind of like where the managers were stood. Barkley was then too far off the midfielder that the ball was thrown to. He just about didn't get there to try and tackle him. The guy, whoever that midfielder was, played it to the play out wide, and he just then Megdasby got in and then cut it back to where Robinson scored from. So that was for not just him, but him mainly at fault for that. And then the second goal again, like you said, you just can't let that through. Hack him down if you have to. Yes, we could have conceded from the free kick as well, but it's not like he wasn't a booking either. So it's not like I don't understand the hesitation. Okay, maybe you can get the hesitation because we're shocking at defending set pieces at the moment. So maybe it's actually less likely for them to score from open play than from.
Of course, he didn't see what happens.
Obviously, but. And then I'm already just to say, because obviously Zuma scored that own goal, so people will go at him. I know you had your criticisms of Zuma as well and saying you prefer Christensen over him. I'm still not sure about either. I'm going to put the question to you after we talk about this. I don't think you can blame him. I still haven't seen the replay, which tells me whether it would have gone in anyway. I don't think there was anyone behind him that would have gotten to it. The Sheffield player, I don't think that was the case, but I think it might have gone in anyway. So he tried his best to try and clear it over. He just about didn't get enough on it. It happens. I think generally, yes, his passing, there was a couple of moments where his passing
comfortable. He wasn't as comfortable. He wasn't doing it as fast, and he wasn't as sharp as Tomori. Tomori, we don't know how good of a defender he really is just yet. But what we do know is he can pass the ball far faster, far more quickly. What we need, while Zuma just needs an extra second or 2 on the ball. which is deadly when they're pressing us. And, you know,
although it's not like we ever lost the ball except when he tried that switch ball to Aspie, but that wasn't really from the press. That was just a poor switch ball to Aspie from which they had a chance. But generally, there's a question I wanted to put to you because, except the United game, when of course Zuma had that, gave the penalty away and had that mistake early on, and after that he was nervous clearly. But even then, it wasn't like individual mistakes for the second, third, or fourth goal from him. In not a single game so far this season where there was United, except the two Zuma moments, Liverpool, Leicester, Norwich, or today, did I ever think, the centre-backs were awful? And still we keep conceding goals every game. Like, it's a bit silly. We conceded 4 against United, concede 2 against Liverpool, concede 2 against Norwich, concede 1 against Leicester, and concede 2 again. Like, it's actually a bit crazy how many goals we're conceding. But I never really thought, the centre-backs are poor here. But I'd never really thought, okay, the midfielders weren't good on the ball today, and Jorginho got shoved off the ball way too easily at Norwich. But generally, I'm not even saying, the midfielders are too poor defensively. It's just always an error. Like, it's always Aspie making an error.
Positioning is dodgy. Don't you think that the position is dodgy sometimes as well?
Yeah. I mean, Christensen played Pukki onside at Norwich, yeah, but that was like by a foot. Like, it happens. You can't be inch perfect. No one is. Not even like Ramos or whoever.
Yeah, but, the thing is, well, okay, Christensen did have that against Norwich, but what's been my quarrel with Zuma is that he's been too easily surpassed in behind at times. It happened on occasion today again, although we weren't punished for that.
But then he catches up though. Like, he always comes in, and he had that one where they had another good cross where he really good defending, like when he just got round the guy in our own 6-yard box and cleared it, which is what he gets you. Like, defenders are different kind of people. Luiz doesn't give you what Azuma gives you. He gives you that brute strength, incredible leaping ability, and that ridiculous pace for a centre-back. But then he doesn't give you the passing. But then Luiz never gave us the pass, never gave us the pace, and then people criticize him for lack of pace. Now we criticize Zuma for a lack of passing. Well, we have a transfer ban, and we don't have 100 million to spend on centre-backs. And even then gets you Harry Maguire, who's neither fast nor great at passing. Good at a lot of other things, but neither fast nor great at passing. So, I don't know. It's just disappointing because obviously we had, like I mentioned it, the Norwich game was good, and then we started off great. Another 2 goals by Tammy. I was absolutely buzzing, except that my stream was buffering its life off, which was a bit of a ball ache. But it's just so frustrating. It's just like it doesn't feel like there's a lot missing, but there is just always something, and it's just really it's frustrating. And now, like you say, the international break, 2 weeks off, great.
Yeah, that's kind of a feeling now that we have, we can't really do anything against it. However, what I will say is, and this is something great, we're going to have Callum Hudson-Odoi and Reece James back after the international break. So while Wolves is by no means a pushover,
and Kante should be.
Yeah, Kante should be good as well. And these are huge boosts, We don't know, of course, just yet, because there are those that say, are quick to point that out. We don't know how good Reece James will be. Will he be better than Cesar Azpilicueta? I personally believe so.
You have to give him like 3 or 4 games, but yeah.
Sure. But, it's just, I don't think that he'd be
out of play,
having these lapses in concentration as frequently as Cesar Azpilicueta is at the moment. So
are you actually sure that he's back to play? Because Hudson-Odoi has been in full training for a while now. Well, Reece James isn't actually training with the first team. So I would be surprised if he came to play. Like, I thought he would just be back in training after the break.
Well, be that as it may, if he's back in training, that is already a good thing,
True. Yeah.
He had a different injury to Callum Hudson-Odoi, so we have to wait and see, basically. Yeah. What we do know is that he will be back. Callum Hudson-Odoi will be back as well. It'll be a few weeks less that we have to wait for loftus-cheek. Those are positives.
Will be back as well.
Whether
he makes a difference, I don't know, but he will be back.
Well, at this point, we might as well try having him in there instead of someone else. If it's a back 4, Reece James, my tendency, Christensen, Rudiger, and Emerson. I think that gives some good attacking input up front, is defensively solid, and the wings. Emerson was, just to say this again, it was fantastic again today. He going forward,
he got beat, but it's just like he's so good at the moment. It's actually ridiculous how good he is. People don't give him enough credit.
Yes, I agree. They don't, and that's why I just want to say this again because he really, 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 really did well. There's no ifs or buts here. He was all over the pitch. Well, not all over the pitch, but all down that left flank the entire game, and he did very well. He was dangerous. I thought he links up quite well with Mason Mount as well. If I'm perfect, they work well together, and you could see as soon as Willian came on, it didn't work anymore. There were some hands in the air then from both of them. It just didn't work as well, which is quite intriguing.
At the same time, Mount and Evans have been training together all summer long. Well, Willian just came back to training, so that is also
of course. But this isn't the first time that Willian isn't able to link up with fullbacks. With Azpilicueta, it's always not very potent going forward. So it just shows how good that Emerson Mount combination works. So if we do have Callum Hudson-Odoi back and we have Mount in that 10 position, and he goes out a bit further left, they'd have a great triangle going there with Callum Hudson-Odoi, Emerson, and Mason Mount. I think that could be deadly. Yeah, I have to wait and see. But moving on to another area, just to bring in the Norwich game. What did you think about Jorginho today?
Oh, it was good.
And last game. Yeah.
Again, except for the 2 goals, obviously, especially the first one. The second one, I think people are a bit harsh on him for the Norwich goal because I'm like, well, he wasn't that close. And he can't have been that much closer, so I don't understand. People criticize him so harshly for it. But the first one, of course, he should have done better. At the same time, he should have done better, but he just isn't stronger. It's like telling me to go and bench press 200 kilograms. I'm like, well, it's not going to happen, is it? I can try, but it's not going to happen. It's a bit like tell Giroud to beat Usain Bolt in a 100-meter sprint race. Again, it's not going to happen. But of course, I just generally think he's doing well. I think he's controlling things well. I thought he had a good few tackles where he got stuck in. I think he dictates everyone. I think without him, we're absolutely screwed, personally. Because we don't have enough movement at times as it is. Imagine without him telling everybody to move. I don't think anyone else would tell anyone with Luis gone. He was the other one that would tell people what to do. Yeah. I don't see us be telling people what to do.
No, that's something where people say he's a great captain. I don't think he is. As a captain, you have to be vocal. That's why I also don't understand why Eden Hazard is. He's a fantastic player, world class in his day, but he's just not vocal.
I mean, there's different captains. You don't need to wear the captain's armband to be vocal, and you can be a captain in different sort of ways.
Sure, but then you need a team. For example, our 2000s team, the old guard, where everyone was, from the national team was a captain, where everyone was, just taking the game at the scruff of the neck, and that is the difference, then you don't need it.
Yeah, because I just scrolled through the game, just the match facts, basically. We didn't get booked once today.
I mean,
looked like a problem in a couple of games. I've brought this up a couple of times. We don't have that. When I did a video on my personal channel, when I did before we beat Norwich, I'm for 5 reasons why Lampard is struggling at the time. Struggling as in why things aren't going that well, as we obviously all hope. And I put as one of the reasons is not having as silly of a word as it is, a hard man in there. No one that will just will just say, oh, right, I'm not having it, and just fly into that tackle, show the other team, well, you're not bossing us around here, which Sheffield, without doubt, were late on in the second half. They were doing whatever they wanted with us, physically and on the ball, quite frankly. And we just don't have anyone to do that. And if you're playing like that, Sheffield getting better and better and better, and then you can't even clatter into them to just calm things down a bit. I mean, Jorginho maybe not because he's already been booked 3 times, but other players, you just need that in there. Where there was a Sean Terry, where there was a Lampard at times, a DJ Drogba, of course, and Michael Ballack, an Essien, and a Makelele. We just don't have that, and I think that is a big problem in such games. Even when you try to see a game out, when you don't have someone that is, first of all, that because Jorginho is to me a leader, but more of an offensive leader and telling people where to go rather than, all right, come on, let's go then, and tell him who's boss kind of thing. And I just think we're lacking that a little bit, which of course comes with age. Like, it was the youngest ever starting 11 we've had in Premier League history today, which of course is a good thing. Is it a bad thing? Would we have won with slightly more experience in the team? You never know. But it's something that I wonder whether it is a problem, because I think it might well be.
Well, that's something that one can never really say. We can
It's
now
also
say, yeah, we would have had it, but maybe not. That's a difficult one. But one thing that I'll definitely say is that we need someone like John Terry to say, no, we're not giving up on just, even when it's, what was it, the 88th minute where we conceded the second goal, to tell even the older players like Cesar Azpilicueta, pull yourself together, keep calm, concentrate. That is something that we didn't have. And then Cesar Azpilicueta, who is actually one of them, who's supposed to tell the others to do that, didn't do it himself. And that is just,
I don't. You don't see it on a pitch anymore. Like, I remember back in those times. Of course, it's almost harsh on our players now to compare them to those people, because of what kind of great legends, leaders, and like players they were. But at the same time, like back in the day when we conceded a late equalizer, you'd see like 5 players on the pitch telling everybody to like, we can fucking win this, and like pushing everyone, and we'll just go and try to score another goal. I never once had that feeling, all right, we might still win this here. We had a full 5 minutes. I mean, you can score a goal in 5 minutes. I never once had that feeling that we might score. Like even once we conceded, I'm like, well, okay, that's 2-2 then. Let's hope we don't lose, because I definitely didn't think we would still turn it around. And that's like, we just don't have that. Everyone's there, and everyone's not like they're not trying, but everyone just stood there by themselves and trying, all right, let's try and go again. It's not like they're leaving, hanging their heads, and just not trying. I'm not going to put that on them at all. But it's just not that spirit that I'm like, come on, lads, together, that kind of thing. I don't know, just missing it a little bit. It could be like stretching, if that's the way you're stretching.
No, I agree with you. But the thing is, how does this change now? I mean, we could talk another hour about this, and we're trying to keep it short today. So, we'll just concentrate on one thing, and that's, will Lampard be able to, change things up? Will he change things up once the international break's over? Because we can talk about midfield, we can talk about the attack, but there's not much point really, because Tammy Abraham looks to have tied that down for now. Our midfield seems pretty set in stone as well. If Kante's fit, he plays. If not, we're going with Jorginho and Kovacic. And shout out to Kovacic. He was great today, I thought. He's not really improved.
Though. I think he was better on the right than playing on the left today, of the 3.
Okay, but you get my point. Yeah, he has improved drastically since Frank Lampard's come in. And that's great to see. But, the defence... Will Rudiger really make us more solid at the back? I think it depends on who he plays with. If he plays with Christensen, who can, play the sweeper at the back, if Rudiger, who tends to do the same as Luiz at times, comes a bit forward to bring, a risky ball, which sometimes pays off, sometimes it doesn't, Christensen can cover. Zuma has problems reading the game, and if some ball comes in over the top, he is often in no man's land. And that is something where I think if we play with Rudiger and Zuma, dear God, no, please don't do that. That will be worrying, in my opinion.
I'm just personally, I don't disagree. I'm just personally not sure whether Rudiger's positioning and stuff is actually any better than Zuma's. He's not quicker. He's not stronger.
But
his normal tackling might be a bit better. I just think Rudiger and Zuma are very similar in a lot of things. Zuma just looks more unorthodox, but actually they're not that different in a lot of things. Rudiger has better passing, but other than that, I don't think there's much between them at all.
He has better passing, that's for sure. And while there might not be that much between them, what I will say is that he's just a more seasoned player at Chelsea. He has shown that he
that
can
argument
really
you've used to start every game.
No, because the thing is, they're similar players. Tammy Abraham isn't similar to Giroud. It depends on the kind of player that he is or they are, and also what what we need right now. And Tammy Abraham is in form, great, but Zuma, I think, can do better. We can do better. I don't want to pull the plug on the Zuma project right now, of course not, because he's only early in the season. But at the moment, I tend to use Rudiger and Christensen. Though, to be fair, Tomori has put his name in the mix today because he was solid. He was solid. His passing was on point. I don't see why Lampard wouldn't use him.
And also when he came on against Liverpool, it was good. So
yes, exactly. Yeah, we actually, I think, mentioned that a few weeks ago. So
it's just a case of trying it out. But are we in a position of experimenting? Yes, we are. But then media, fans will get, we should just try it out. We should just give each partnership, I don't know, a run of 2 games and then try another partnership, but then see what works best. But then it's always like, well, you don't play the exact same level of opponent every week, so how can you actually compare it? Because ideally, we would actually just try all combinations that we have to actually find out what's best, because I don't think Lampard is 100%. You can see training and stuff, but there is a shout to be made for Rudiger, for Tomori to play next to Christensen or Rudiger. There is a shout for that to be made. I still think Zuma, because yes, he was a pro and like playing regular football at both Stoke and Everton, but it's still different. It's like a new player. Like, yes, he knows the club, but he's still coming to a new club again. Like, rarely do players join the team and are top notch from the get go. Like, that's rarely a thing. So I would expect Zuma to get better still from compared to now, and he already got a lot better since the United game, in my opinion. Like, he's playing a lot better.
Well, that's not much of a,
Okay, fair enough.
Not
but
hard.
Still, at Norwich, I thought he was good. At Norwich, I thought he was good, and today I didn't think he was awful. Like, he wasn't great.
He wasn't awful, and I'm not slating him for that own goal what he had because that, as you explained already, why one can't really slate him for that. But I just generally don't feel confident at the back when he's there, and it's a shame because when he played a few years ago, I thought he's the future here. He was fantastic always. I just don't get that vibe. He was great for Everton, but I don't know. They played completely differently to us. Let's be honest here, and that worked for them. For us, I don't know. I think if we're more defensively set up, then it would work. Deeper, then they can't get in behind him as often, and he has someone to cover for him as well.
But I find it really interesting to pick out the getting in behind, because I've never really seen that as a problem with Zuma with his pace. Like, I know people getting behind because I think a thing with Zuma is he knows how quick he is, so he's fine trying the interception first. It doesn't work, I'll catch up, it's fine. Which looks like everyone's getting in behind, but I think he usually has that, because we haven't conceded from someone getting in behind Zuma, unless I'm forgetting something here.
The thing is, if a high ball comes into our box, then it's also off. That was already the case when he was at Chelsea the first time around. He often miscalculates it.
Oh yeah,
he tries to go there and then it just goes past him.
Like the Leicester goal,
for example. So my point is, I think Christensen is the more solid choice at the moment, even though he can be dodgy as well. But I just think that will work better. But we'll have to just wait and see what Lampard says. What I really do hope that we will do is that as soon as possible, put Reece James into the mix.
Yeah.
And will Callum Hudson-Odoi immediately play? For me, he has to. Drop Barkley. If we take today's lineup, drop Barkley. Play Mount in the 10, and then you play Callum Hudson-Odoi on the...
Was it a 4-2-3-1 for you again?
You up?
Was it a 4-2-3-1 for you again?
The
second half
at times,
right.
For me, at times it looked like a 4-3-3, then it looked like a 4-2-3-1. I don't know. I don't want to say that's part of the problem, maybe, that they...
I said that. I said in my review that I just did, before we started recording this. I think we need to be a bit more. I know you like to confuse the opponent as well. And William came on, played 3 minutes on the right. All of a sudden, he's on the left. 2 minutes later, he's on the right again. I'm like, chill. He's only been on for 3 minutes.
On the wing,
connection with the wing back.
Yeah, but on the wing, that's more frequent. That we even did that under Jose, and he's a more pragmatic guy.
Every 5 minutes.
No, of course not. But on the wing, it happens. That's not something that isn't.
It's not
irregular.
It's just like it's not like it helped anything. So I don't understand why we're doing it. And in midfield, like you say, I mean, the first half to me was pretty obviously a 3 because Kovacic was way too far forward and to the left to just play normally next to Jorginho. And then second half, it just kept changing. I thought once Willian came on, it turned into a 4-2-3-1 for a little while, but then Mount was right next to Jorginho again. I'm like, so what is this then? And then we attacked, and then Kovacic was right next to Mount, way ahead of Jorginho again. And then at some point, Kovacic was right next to Jorginho, and Mount was right in the middle in front of them. So I just think we have to accept that we'll play a complete hybrid of the both and never know. No one actually knows what's happening. And sometimes maybe the players don't. So, yeah. But other than that, to be honest, I don't really have that much more to say. I just hope things get better. We have those players coming back from injury. Let's see how that changes us. Reece James, Hudson-Odoi, Kante, obviously, Rudiger. At some point, hopefully, the sooner the better, of course, Loftus-Cheek. There was obviously that report by Sky Sports that he said roughly a week ago or so now, maybe 10 days, that he will be back in training or they will be back in 4 to 6 weeks. I assume that means full training. So then give him maybe another 3 or 4 weeks for him to start playing, which is at least sooner than people said, because that would be late November, early December, which is better than what we heard in the first place.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
So let's see what that does. Let's hope it improves us. And at the same time, it's a new manager. It's a young and inexperienced manager. It's the youngest ever team that we feel that, yes, of course we should be Sheffield. And I am disappointed, but I just hope that the players learn from it, because that was sometimes my problem on the Sarri last year. We had problems, made mistakes, but then made the same mistakes 2 games later again. And that's what I hope we stop doing, because we improved some things after like the United defeat, after Leicester defeat. It was better against Norwich. No, we did some things wrong again today, and I just hope we improve on them. But do you have anything else to add?
No, not really. I think you summed it up quite well there. The only thing that I will say is that I hope that Frank Lampard keeps doing what he's doing in regard to mixing things up, playing on merit. Tomori coming in is the perfect example of that. He says he was great in training. Play him, because he did well today. And I think that's something that the players will see, because then they are not used to that anymore, because Maurizio Sarri didn't do that. Conte didn't do that. Jose Mourinho, of course not. So I think if the people or the players finally realize, we really have to work our socks off to play, or if I do that and I put in extra shifts, which Tomori is doing, I'll play. And I think that's great. That's something that we've been missing at the club, and I'm happy about that. So there are positives to take from today or from the last few weeks, if you will. And I think people have to just be patient.
But, the positives like Tammy, we have a striker that can regularly score goals. Of course, you can't expect him to score a brace every week, but if he keeps up regular scoring, which throughout the season, or the majority of the season at least, that is a big step up from what we've been used to over the years. And then if we can have wingers such as Hudson-Odoi, once he gets more used to things, Pulisic, Ruben when he comes back, and Mason Mount, just adding together for the goals, that makes a big difference. Then the defence, if all of those players are very potent goal scorers, well, then it's fine if we concede a goal or 2 per game, realistically. Against most teams, of course, not every team, but realistically, that should be fine. But I think we're going to leave it here. We wanted to keep it a bit short. I think it's around 35, 40 minutes now. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. We very much appreciate you tuning in. Of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel. That we actually forgot to mention at the start, but subscribe to the YouTube channel. That would be good. Drop a comment on what you thought of the game and what you thought about our analysis, I guess, down in the comment section below. Follow us on the iTunes and the Spotify, and leave us a good rating over there as well. Just hit my microphone, which would just be absolutely massively appreciated. And yeah, guys, we're just gonna go into the international break now, and just hope for better times when everyone's back from injury. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Jimmy, do you want to say a quick goodbye?
Bye.
Bye. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Up the Chelsea. Keep the blue flag flying high, and we'll see you next time.